fantastic tunes, and all the latest in current affairs. My name is Helen Apia Ampofo, and I'll be your pilot this morning. I do have a co-pilot in the studio, Crosby. Or is it Noble Crosby Annan? I never get the order right. Noble Crosby Annan, not Crosby. No, Good morning to you, Crosby.
Good morning.
How are we feeling?
I'm fine. How are you doing?
I'm doing all right. What are your financial projections for the year?
To make money.
Just to make money.
Yeah.
And what about keeping the money?
Well, if you are making money, even if you are making the money and the money is going, if you are making
Charlie, I don't want to just make it and then it's flying away.
But you make it and you eat it yourself. So
you are not eating the money yourself. Somebody's a beneficiary.
Wait. If you don't spend it, your next of kin will come and chop the money.
Will come and chop all the money.
They are throwing the former Queen of England. They are selling her horses.
I see.
Horses that she labored, toiled to get. Your next of kin will come and destroy your legacy.
I'm telling you. How much are the horses going for? Do we know?
I'll get that information for you soon.
All right. Crosby will be telling us how much the former Queen of England's horses cost. I'm guessing probably in the millions.
Maybe.
I'm thinking so. I'm thinking in the millions. This was the Queen of England, though. No small person like that. So I'm guessing it's going to be very expensive indeed. But as I mentioned this morning, we're looking at money issues and also in your own personal economy, what you can do to tighten your fiscal space. It's going to be an insightful one, certainly, this morning. A lot happened yesterday. If you joined us, it was the Constitution Day holiday. We had a very spirited discussion in studio. Maybe we'll recap some of that before we progress with the morning. But do get comfortable. It's a good day to have a good day. Like I mentioned, a little bit overcast here in Atesawe. Crosby, did it rain in your locality yesterday?
I don't think so.
Yesterday, I think it was 3 o'clock. It rained in this part.
Yes.
In this area.
Some parts of Accra experienced some rains. But
definitely.
Maybe it rained in my sleep, so maybe I didn't see it.
I see, because that's at midnight as well. In some areas, there was rain. I believe there was rain in some parts of Tema, in Spintex. Very unusual for this time of the year. But, of course, Felicia Ahafionyo will give us some more insight into that. Should we be expecting more showers of blessing? What is going on? Is it still Harmattan? Felicity, hello, good morning to you. Hope you are well.
Good morning, Helen. Yes, I am better today than yesterday.
The weather is confusing us. We're seeing showers here and showers there. What should we expect today?
Yeah, thanks so much and good morning to our dear viewers and listeners. Yeah, yesterday we had a 30 to 40% chance of rain occurring over places, but then we said it will not last that long. And I believe that is what we have experienced. The only challenge is the coverage. We're not expecting it over much areas, but then the system grew and then spread over most areas within the capital and part of central and western region. For today, we are expecting similar conditions to happen, but then we are expecting just 30% chance of rain occurring. We are, as suggested, our radar is on the slightly north of the coastline, and then those over the western north and part of Ashanti region. But the other areas, we expect them to remain dry and peaceful with improved visibility, and then improve relative humidity in terms of dryness. We don't expect it to be very dry as it used to be But those over the upper east and upper west, they will have drier sky with just some few high clouds in the sky. Temperatures will be around 37 over their area. But those Tamale down to Bono East, and then Ahafo, Osi region, we expect temperatures around 36 degrees Celsius. Greater Accra 33, likewise those in central western Ashanti and parts of the Volta region. For the state of the sea today, we expect it to become Volta Lake. We don't expect much rain, clouds development over their area, but then late afternoon, we expect just some few areas around 4 area to have some rain cloud development, so they all should also look out for some short-lived rain activity. So this is going to be for today, Tuesday.
So no need for concern as far as the rains we experienced yesterday is concerned.
I think there should be a need of concern, and we at the forecast office too is a concern. So we are also looking into it because we are having an episode called El Nino. So some are saying you don't have an impact on our weather, but then once we start getting enough rain around this time, then it's likely maybe the major season may not be too good for us. So we are looking into it pretty soon. We'll come out to tell you how the February, March, and April will look like for Madagascar.
Interesting. So this could be an indication that we might possibly have high levels or high volumes of rain this year.
No, not really.
Okay.
December mostly we do have some rain along the coastal states and some inland areas. But then the intensity is what we are looking at for, and then the frequency. Yesterday when we did our weekly review, one place in the Volta region had 3 rainy days, and then every other areas were quite abnormal. But then if it becomes frequent, then there should be a need of worry because all the things are tailored to the upper westerly wind flow. This time around it's supposed to be purely westerly, but then it keeps changing and it's a little bit unusual. So we are looking into it, and then we'll definitely come out to advise the public, especially the farming community.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Felicity, for that update.
Thank you too. Enjoy the rest of the day.
2024. What are these different elements going to, or what effect are these different elements going to have on our personal pockets this year? We'll be zooming into that. Also, very shortly, Crosby and I will be getting into what the dailies have for us this morning. And then sports will be coming up. Goalless draw with Namibia yesterday for the AFCON friendlies. Crosby, did you get a chance to watch that match?
Well, I understand it was a game that was not shown anywhere because the coach asked that it be a blackout for the media.
I see. This is Chris Hughton, our coach.
Yes, we'll have to confirm that information from the sports team. But I mean, as Ghanaians as we are, people still found ways to show part of the games. So if you check on social media, you see a few minutes here and there. It's not continuous, but a few minutes here and there. But the people who went to watch, I understand they were booing the Black Stars because the performance was not good. And with that, the tournament is starting on Thursday, I believe. I believe
so. We face off against Cape Verde in a match around that time. I don't know who the opening match is.
Anything can happen. So we're hoping for the best. I mean, if anything can happen between now and the president believes anything can happen between now and 2025. So maybe the Black Stars can also benefit from some goodwill and some optimism.
Well, we'll see what happens on that front. The sports team will be coming up after the news review and be letting us know. They'll be letting us know exactly what the performance was like. But don't hold your breath. Yesterday I was watching Kelvin on Ghana Tonight, and he was at the Baba Yara Stadium, and he didn't give a very glowing review. A few things definitely will need to be tightened up before we even, can confidently say that we're taking any position in this AFCON. But what is your prediction? How well are we going to do? Are we getting through the group stages?
So tournaments are different from every other game. You just need to win. You don't need to win nicely. You don't need to play nice to win. If you're able to win at the end of 90 minutes by just a goal, and if you defend for the rest, maybe 89 minutes, we just need wins. So maybe something good can come out of somewhere. You don't know where it'll come out from, though, but it's a tournament. Anything is possible.
Anything is possible. To still be on a bit of a break, so they're trickling in slowly, or resuming rather slowly, but we do have the daily guide, and also, Crosby, I believe you've got the daily graphic this morning. All right, let's see what the daily graphic has in store for us on the front page, and the stories are as follows. I'm the masked man, Cheddar reveals, and there's a picture to go along with that. You've got Nana Kwame Bediako, aka Cheddar, pictured on the front page, along with that picture of a gentleman in a mask. Well, the mask has been removed, or he's removed the mask, shall I say, and he says this is the man behind the mask. We'll get into that story. It's captured on page 6. Feather for IGP Dampare, captured in page 3 of the Daily Guide. Also, 2024 election must be free and fair. President Akufo-Addo speaking, and he's also pictured there. And GIFEC makes digitization strides. On the back page of the Daily Guide, some players can handle Man U pressure. That's on the international front, EPL. Baumia opens Na Sheriga Sports Complex, and there's a picture to go along with that. Kudus boost 4 stars. And of course, the sports team will be here giving us an update on all things AFCON and Black Stars. Crosby.
The Daily Graphic, the big story on the front page is from the Attorney General Godfred Yeboah-Dame, and he says, don't overhaul the Constitution, strengthen public institutions, the AG is saying. Also on the front page, unsuccessful election petition should attract sanctions from Dr. Farija. There's also protect Constitution by ensuring peaceful, transparent election, the NCC is saying. GS harmonizes code of conduct for pre-tertiary schools. These are the stories on the front page of the paper. You go to the back page, there's a Veterans Court support for members. Center spread of the Daily Graphic, judgment must lead to orderly development of the nation. The president, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, 2 charges, and let's uphold nation's democracy. John Dramani Mahama is saying, and the story from the NCCA is here: protect constitution by ensuring peaceful, transparent election.
All right, let's kick things off from the Daily Guide. And Chef Phyla is still cooking, I believe. I'm trying to find out where in the journey she is at the moment.
I'm sure she's over 180 hours.
Oh, way over at this point. I wonder if
I think it was 188 yesterday in the evening.
I see. Okay. That means that she could be well into the 190 hours as of this morning. 190 hours as of this morning. Well, Bawumia steals the show at Chef Phyla's Cookathon. That's captured in page 3 of the Daily Guide. And if you were on social media, you would have seen the excitement that went along with that. There's a picture that goes along with that. Now, in an unexpected turn of events, Vice President and flag bearer of the New Patriotic Party, NPP, Dr. Bawumia, made a surprise visit to the Modern City Hotel in Tamale, where Phyla to Abdul Razak, affectionately known as Phyla, is attempting to set a new world record for the longest cooking marathon. I think ahead of his visit, he had sent her some cash donation to spur her on. Now, the visit sparked excitement among the surprised residents, who erupted in cheers at the vice president's arrival. Now, as Dr. Bawumia stepped out of his car, the ecstatic crowd surged forward to welcome him, chanting his name and his famous slogan, "It is possible." They created an atmosphere of enthusiasm and support. Now, despite the large crowd, the vice president managed to navigate his way to the transparent kitchen, where Phyla had been tirelessly cooking for the past 6 days. Inside the kitchen, Dr. Bawumia engaged in a brief but animated conversation with visibly stunned and excited Phyla. So some of you are asking, when is the vice president going to make an appearance? Well, he went there and it was all excitement. I think after seeing the vice president, Chef Phyla is going to cook for another 1 month. As for this record, dear lie, she said nobody's going to break it.
They say the energy the woman has, she can cook for the whole year.
For the
She
whole
won't be
year.
tired.
They should just give the school feeding to her. They should just give Chef Phyla the school feeding at this point in time, because and the meals she's churning out, it's not slowing down. Oh, I've seen pancakes, I've seen jollof and chicken, and one more kakra, fried omelets.
I understand it's a delicacy if you are in the northern region, if you're in Tamale, and all the videos you see, the Modern City Hotel is full up. People are going to support Phyla, and other people are also hoping to have a taste of the meal. But we're in 2024, just to digress a little. It's an election year.
That's right.
So anywhere people have gathered, there's an opportunity to campaign. So if the vice president went there to congratulate Phyla, give her more grease to her elbows, but also to make inroads, because in December we'll be voting. These things are expected, and then they are part of the mood building, the atmosphere of the elections. Everybody wants to use every opportunity to campaign.
You want to be as visible as possible. And like you say, where the crowds are there, the politicians will also be there. But it's nice to see all of that support being thrown behind Chef Phyla. And long may the cooking continue. I've said anybody who's coming from Tamale who wants to bring us a taste of Chef Phyla here in Accra.
It's sad. Our reporters, they go and they don't bring
have you seen the behind the scenes footage?
I saw Clifford.
You saw Clifford. I saw Nafty. And also Chris. Let's not put all of them. I wasn't going to put Chris on blast. But as for Clifford, I saw him.
They are chopping their thing. They're not bringing their thing.
No, he says put it on a courier. And let's also have a taste of Chef Phyla. But our very own Johnny Hughes was also there to add his support or throw his weight behind Chef Phyla. And at some point, we'll put some pictures up. You can check it out on our social media pages. I'm not sure if he's still there or not. Maybe we can connect with him and he can tell us what the vibe was like. And if he's still there, what the vibe is like. He's on a bit of a break. Even the resident biter must put his feet up from time to time. So, Johnny, if you're listening, we miss you. Hurry on back. Bring us some Chef Phyla teasers. That'd be what That'd be what you need. Let's move on now to some more stories in the Daily Guide. Page 3, 2024 elections must be free and fair. Now, President Nana Akufo-Addo has called for this year's election to be free and fair, pointing that democracies are grounded on viable elections. He noted that no true Democrats can disregard the importance of elections and sanctity of the ballot, and added, this year, like we have done on 8 other preceding occasions, we will go to the polls to elect the president and my successor. It must thus be in our collective interest to ensure that the rules and regulations for the conduct of this year's elections are fair and transparent, and that we all develop respect for them, a respect that should not be a function of whether you win or you lose. Now, there have been some proposed ideas, by the EC as far as closure of polls around 3 p.m., also doing away with indelible ink. And I think some of those issues will have to be ironed out, of course, before we head to the polls. Because what do you make of that? Closing the polls early and also the indelible ink has become a hot topic.
Well, yesterday, the same subject, the NDC held a press conference. The chairman of the party, Asidi Ngetiahi, says the party was 100% opposed to these two ideas. And his reasons are fairly simple. The BVDs don't work all the time.
Okay.
So you cannot guarantee every one person is voting once if these BVDs, biometric verification devices, are not 100% functional. The only way to spot criminals, those who want to vote more than once, is by the ink on their finger, the stain on their finger. So if you're taking that away, then he says that you're opening the electoral process up to fraudulent activities for criminals to take over the entire process. He also spoke about the 3 p.m. close of time. And in this country, even in the district assembly elections, we had challenges with ballot papers reaching some areas, and some elections had to be postponed and all of that. If you're starting elections at 7 and you want to close at 3, fair enough. But what happens if, due to circumstances beyond your control, and that is in quote, you start the elections maybe by midday, and then you want to close the polls by 3 p.m. It means, according to the chairman of the party, you're cutting a whole constituency, beg your pardon, off the electoral system, and that, he believes, is not something that should be encouraged. I'm sure these will be things that maybe in the coming years we can look at, but we are not yet at a time or at a stage in the country where we can implement these proposals. They will come with a lot of consequences that we are not ready to bear. You can't close the polls at 3 p.m. I'm afraid you can't do that. And then you can't stop indelible ink if your alternative is not 100% functional. Even with indelible ink, people still try to sometimes, double vote and all of that. How much more if you decide to discontinue the use? So these are valid concerns, and the NDC is also calling on traditional leaders, the moral groups in the country, CSOs, religious leaders, and all of that. So they are aware that around this time, these people, this year, traditional leaders, the NCC, Peace Council, Catholic bishops will be calling on all the political parties to clamor for peace in the elections. They are asking them that this is the time they should put their voices, let their voices be heard in such proposals that are likely to affect the peace. So they're saying that the chaos we witness in elections, they have causes. The cause is not the lack of peace. The cause is actions taken by some stakeholders in the electoral process, from the Electoral Commission to the police service to the judiciary to the military and all of that. We're asking them to step in early, not to wait and then come somewhere in October, in August, when there's no time for these things to be spoken about, and then they clamor for peace, signing peace pact and all of that. That is not the way to go.
All right, we'll take one story here on page 6 of the Daily Guide, and then we'll get into the Daily Graphic and what the stories are in the paper. I am the masked man, Cheddar. Now, Nana Kwame Bediako, nicknamed Cheddar, also known as Freedom Jacob Caesar, an entrepreneur and real estate developer, has stated that he is the driving force behind the political movement called the New Force. Speaking to the media in Accra on January 7, 2024, Cheddar indicated that he had been forced to unveil his identity as the man in the mask on billboards placed at vantage points across the country. The 43-year-old man, who was flanked by Peter Obi of Nigeria, PLO Lumumba of Kenya, and Zimbabwe's Dr. Arikana, asserted that he was nothing to be scared of. He says, I come to you as your salvation. I don't invest in myself alone. I am investing in you. I think yesterday we discussed this at length. They still got tongues wagging on social media, of course, as the updates arrive.
Ghana's salvation.
Arise. Yeah. What do you make of that, actually? Yeah. I hadn't had the full press conference, and I listened to it after the show. I thought, wow, interesting. He says, I'm your salvation.
People thought he was speaking like a poet.
I see. But he also says, well, I hadn't, he was, stating in the press conference that he hadn't indicated if he was going to be a presidential candidate,
an evangelist, revolutionist, or a something.
But I think for now, he's come out as a presidential hopeful. That's what we can classify him as. Am I right?
Yes. I think clearly that's where all the fingers are pointing towards. And will he be the third force? Remember, in the 2020 elections, we saw the Ghana Union Movement, Reverend Chabosom, yes. So he placed third in that election, I believe. And then now we're seeing independent candidate Alan Chemanti also in the race, plus Cheddar. We'll see who will become the third force, plus Ghana Union Movement also. I'm sure they'll be in the race in 2024. So it's open for everybody to take. We're still looking for a certain third force, and just like Akable was saying, that person should fit a certain idea we want, a certain image that we have in our heads.
Can you put into words what that image looks like, or what that person would look like?
The person who said it could not tell us who the person would be.
All right, but I mean, in case you missed it, just take a quick listen to Nana Kwame Bediako announcing himself as the new force leader. Take a listen.
21 years of my life, I have been serving a nation, working so hard just to become an example of what wealth looks like. And building wealth comes from knowledge, comes from wisdom, comes from understanding. You need to get this value from your own surroundings. I grew up partly in Ghana, partly in England, and I came back to Africa. 2001. Unlike Martin Luther, I did not have a dream. I had a vision. I started watching the youth and the streets and the roads, the rules and the regulations, the conditions and the constitutions that is stipulated and embedded on us as Africans. I had to walk on a different path, and I was alone. My investment on the roads became a landmark. And whatever I invested on this landmark is a footprint. I am here for a legacy. I am part of your historians. And I know many people want to see the true side of me. I know you know Nana Kwame Bediako, but I know you're still looking for Freedom Jacob Caesar. Yes, I am Ray Christian, and I'm here. I'm not here to take your value. I'm here to add value to you. I discovered that the land that we belong to had so much wealth that until we turn it into our own, our economy will never be sustainable. And we cannot forever live in our countries with a box economy. I needed to create a middle income economy without being a part of the government. Why so? Because I believe it's part of my responsibility. I took a different path. My movements, my foundation, my groups, and all of this have acquired some wealth. But the wealth that I reinvest back into society, it has become a part of my mission to make this change. I believe that I belong to Africa. I am a son of this soil. and I can add value to humanity. And I came here to do that. I came here to add value to this world and to nature. I am not going to live here without God even being proud of me. And when I'm not here also, I want you to remember that I came. And I want my absence to be felt. And for that reason, I know you're looking for the man. And the man in the mask is sitting in front of you. Be scared of. I came to you as your salvation. I don't invest in myself alone. I am investing in you. And truly, these innocent leaders sitting beside me, of course I will not go to them and tell them that, hey, I am a man in a mask and I want you to come to Ghana to support me to do this and this. And this man of this dignity and this woman with such power will say, yes, I'm going to follow you to come to Ghana to do your convention and all of that. No. It is part of the movement. We need to educate. We need to uplift our children. We need to voice out to them.
Salvation. Maybe at some point in the day we'll test the pulse, we'll test the temperature on social media. What do you make of the unveiling of the mask, and what do you make of the third force, or in fact is the new force? The new force has been touted as the third force.
It says embrace it.
Embrace it. Okay. Crosby, are you ready to embrace the new force?
Ghana Yesu.
It was a Ghana Yesu. Ghana Yesu.
He's coming to save Ghana.
Anyway, let's turn our attention now to some money matters. This is captured in the center spread again, and then we'll head over to the Ghanaian Times and see what stories are in there. Ghana creditors near $1.5 billion funding deal. Now, Ghana is inching towards securing a $1.15 billion funding from the IMF and the World Bank by the end of February 2024, as discussions with bilateral creditors near conclusion. Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta, speaking with Bloomberg by phone, said he is confident that official creditors will agree on a memorandum of understanding in a meeting scheduled for yesterday, January 8, 2024. A successful discussion would enable the IMF Executive Board to meet and review the country's performance under a program that started in May 2023. So it would appear, Crosby, that our efforts in getting some debt relief from our external creditors is stalling or has stalled a little bit, and that has great impact on our economy this year, because we are still waiting for that $600 million tranche, and that we're hoping is going to, prop up the city, boost the city a little bit, return investor confidence in the city and the economy as a whole. And the longer that takes to happen, financial experts and economists and those who are working in the space say it's not a good sign. It's not a good sign. We need that money to come through again, because it's a positive development to our funds.
In all of this, Helen, what I see is a certain lack of transparency. We understand we are the IMF at the moment. We don't want to talk about the denial, the back and forth before we went to the IMF. Now we're there. We've gotten the first $600 million. There's a second tranche that should come. Now we're having trouble meeting the standards that will equip us to get the next $600 million. That is a challenge that we're all faced with. Now, why does it seem like government communicators are trying not to tell us the truth, as in how the negotiations are going? Remember that we should have gotten this way back in 2023, somewhere 2 months before the end of December.
We're so the date has it keeps
exactly
shifting.
From when it was first suggested that we're going to get it. I remember the information minister has been to places. I even spoke with him once, and he said the negotiations were going very well. We'll be getting it very soon. Clearly, there's some level of untruth in government communication. And I don't think...
You think it's untruth, or that, government doesn't want to rock the boat, if you will? The investor community is very sensitive to this sort of information.
If you are lying by omission, you're still lying. You understand? If
the Daily Guide says that the finance minister is confident. That doesn't tell us much, but it sounds hopeful.
These things, they don't happen in the jest. You know your position, you know where you're coming from, you know where you need to get to get it. You could do basic statistics, basic sciences, and have a clear picture when the money is supposed to come. But if you try and say, I'm hopeful, I'm expectant and all of that, you're not painting the true picture. When you know the true picture, then it comes across as though you don't want the population to know that these are the challenges you're facing. Because we should have gotten this long enough. They've been expectant, they've been optimistic, we're getting it. And then now another economist, Dr. Sarkodie, is saying that somewhere in February. But if that is true, I'm sure government knows we'll get it in February, but they will not tell us.
Well, this story here, captured in page 9 of the Daily Guide, says that the hope is that these discussions will come to an end by the end of February. Because we're wrapping up with our bilateral creditors, and we're near a conclusion.
So you see, this by the end of February. Now, when they were telling us in 2023 that we were getting it, they did not mention February. That's where I'm coming from.
It was November, and then we had December.
That's where I'm coming from. So why are they now talking about? Did they not know it in the first instance, or this is just a bridge that they have had to cross? And that is not the case. These are things that are tabled, are laid down, negotiations. You can tell how they're going. It's unfortunate that they're still not being communicating enough, and it worsens the situation. You're talking about investor confidence, that's true, but everybody knows Ghana's situation at the moment. This telling us the day to get the money is not. You
don't think that will rock the boat too much?
Not at all.
Let's take a trip down memory lane, guys.
As my colleague, Deputy Minister said, we are not going to the IMF. Whatever we do, we are not. The consequences are there. We are a proud nation. We have the resources. We have the capacity. Don't let anybody tell you. Like when Joshua, Caleb, and the 10 others went to spy on the promised land, and only 2 of them came to say that we can do it, and the 10 went around the community murmuring, you can't, We are not people of short sight, and we have to move on. Okay, so let's think of us as who we are, a proud, strong people, the shining star of Africa, and we have the capacity to do what we want to do.
And we have the capacity to do what we want to do. The story goes on to say a successful discussion will enable the IMF Executive Board to meet and review the country's performance under a program that started in May 2023. It will also lead to the approval of a disbursement of some $600 million, the second tranche of its $3 billion bailout. The board will likely meet on January 18, 2024, after delays, Mr. Ofori-Atta said. Now, a board approval will also trigger the process for 2 World Bank disbursements totaling some $550 million, said Mr. Ofori-Atta. The World Bank has committed $300 million in budgetary support and another $250 million towards Ghana's Financial Stability Fund. So we are in good shape, he told Bloomberg. The budgetary support disbursement is expected by the end of this month, and the contribution to the fund that provides liquidity to the financial institutions impacted by the domestic debt restructuring will likely come by the end of February. So another date or month for us to look out for, and we'll know what our fate is as a country. Because what does the Daily Graphic have for us this morning?
Well, there are a lot of stories on the Constitution. There's also from the former chair of the Electoral Commission, Dr. Afari-Gyan. He's also been speaking, and
that's right. He's had a lot to say
yes,
as of yesterday.
There's one captured in the Daily Graphic saying unsuccessful election petition should attract sanctions. The story is on page 38 of the paper. I'll quickly get there and read to you a excerpt of what Dr. Afari-Gyan is saying, that if you go to court for an election petition and you are unsuccessful, there should be sanctions to you. But that's on the face of it. The details is this. So Dr. Afari-Gyan has suggested that election petition that does not succeed should attract sanctions. That, he said, was to prevent election petitions from becoming a wanton fashion. He said it appeared that some candidates rushed to court with election petitions alleging manipulation of results, primarily to placate their financiers and supporters. That Dr. Jan said was to ensure that the candidates were giving another chance. He says, quote, "The rush can cause undeserved injury to the reputation of the Electoral Commission and unnecessary intimidation of the courts." The longest-serving chairman of the commission said, and citing Nigeria, where there were 1,000 petitions before the courts after the 2023 elections. Helen, I don't know what you make of this. That there should be sanctions to unsuccessful election petition. He gave reasons that the candidates rushed to court with petitions alleging manipulation of results, primarily to placate their financiers and their supporters.
Did he make mention of the sort of sanctions that he would like to see or he would want to see in this circumstance?
Well, that has not been mentioned in the paper.
I'm not too sure. I guess if I get into the details and then I can situate what these sanctions will look like in the broader scheme of things, then is it his hope that then it'll serve as a deterrence and we don't burden the courts with this type of petition?
Maybe those that will be called frivolous. But that being said, his concerns genuine, of course. But what happens to those who believe they had genuine concerns to petition the court to look into the elections, but those genuine doubts tend to be unsuccessful? Will they also have to face the sanctions? If they don't, then how do you differentiate between those that had a motive just to appease their financiers and their supporters and those that had genuine concerns?
And there's more on 3news.com if you want to get into some sound bites or get into the stories as far as what Afari-Gyan had to say. He also mentioned that the Council of States should periodically issue reports on the advice that it has given. That I thought was quite interesting, again captured on 3news.com. He says, in order to help the public measure the impact of the Council of State, the Council will need to issue periodic reports on the advice it has given to institutions. Former chair of the Electoral Commission, EC, has suggested. I think that's an interesting take, and I think it's a good take.
People have begun questioning the importance, the relevance of the Council of State. So it will be good if they try and tell us how important they are, the kind of advices they are offering state institutions, and whether these advices are being taken. So if these advices are not being adhered to, then we know that they're coming from the state institutions, but the Council of State will be doing their job in that regard.
All right, and as I mentioned, we're highly interactive this morning. Do be sure to give us a follow on the socials. We are at 3FM and 92.7. We're wrapping it up here for the news review. We'll be making way for sports very shortly, getting into the Black Stars performance as far as that friendly with Namibia is concerned. A lot of you very unimpressed with that. But what's trending on X this morning? A lot of you get your views and thoughts out on that app. You've got Stonebwoy trending. I'm not sure. Is he out with some new music or something? Anas is trending this morning. Why is there an expose in the pipeline? I'm not sure. Ten Hag is trending. Hashtag the new force is trending. Hashtag Cheddar also trending. NPP and NDC trending. Of course, Shafila still high up on the trends and will be hopefully tapping into the sights and sounds of Tamale. But get comfortable. It's a good day to have a good day. There's a lot in store. As I mentioned today, money matters high on the agenda. Crosby, are you excited to hear how you can keep your affairs in order? What percentage to put
how
here
I
and
can
there?
make more money.
Make more money.
Yeah.
And also for those looking to invest this year, what are some of the pitfalls you should be aware of? December 2024, amongst other things, the second tranche of the IMF monies. You might think it doesn't concern you, but it absolutely does. This is 3FM Sunrise on 3FM 92.7.
3FM Sunrise.